everyone. Welcome back to Lisa's Love and Light. Thank you all for being here today. It's good to see you. Thank you for continuing to show up here on this channel. It's so important that we continue to share this information with others so that they can be here and know that this channel exists. It is to help people to give information about ways to heal, perhaps in the case that I'm using, creative ways to heal. As I always say, I'm not a therapist or licensed therapist of any sort. However, I'm just sharing information with others to let them know how I'm healing. And perhaps this way, tidbits that I'm using can help you as well. So that's the purpose of this channel, to help other people so that they can heal as well. The healing process is an ongoing one, it never ends. But as we go through it, we get better, we start to feel better. When we feel better, we do better. Remember, your mental and physical health is everything. It is a priority above anything else because without it, you cannot grow, expand, and heal, and you cannot take care of yourself or anyone or anything around you. So please keep that in mind that your physical and mental health is everything. It definitely is a priority, especially when you've gone through traumas of grief due to the loss of a loved one. So let's get into the topic today. The topic of this discussion today is called Forgive and Heal. And what I want to say, forgiveness is not for the other person or party. Forgiveness is for you, to help you to move on so that you can move away from something that has a hold or control over you. I call it in most cases a chokehold. And when you forgive, let go, and let God, everything else will start to slowly fall into place. And that's what I had to learn to do. And forgiveness wasn't easy for me, but I had to learn to forgive myself. If you go back a few videos, you'll hear a story where I talk about my mom and something I did when my son was really young and I didn't feel like being bothered, and it was the wrong thing to do. And, I tried to have a discussion with her when she was passing away, when I had that last phone conversation with her. And she said, I love you. And I said, I love you, and I just wish I could go back and change it, but I've learned and grown from it. And it took a long time to forgive myself from that situation. But it's important to forgive yourself from anything that has a chokehold on you and forgive others. As I said, the forgiveness is for you, whether they accept it, or not, whether the other party accept um, the that you are forgiving them or not. It doesn't matter at that point. So I want to talk about something here. I don't know when you guys were growing up what type of games that you played, but when I was a teenager, there was this game what was this game called? Oh, the telephone game. And what it was is that we all got together and we sat down in a circle, and the first party would whisper in the other person's ear, she or he, because guys will play too, but mostly women, would whisper in the ear of the other person next to them. And then we would go around the room, and then the last person who got the message would stand up and repeat what was said. Each and every time this happened, what was said had nothing to do with what was said. And I used to say, how did we go from all the way to the left? This went left field really quick. And each time that we played this game, no matter who was the one who was, making up the story, and then the last person had to stand up and repeat it, it never came out the way that the person said it. In most cases, what happened is the person who whispered whatever it was in a first person ear said, I never said that. And when it was my turn, I said, wow, I never said any of this. So I'm using this as an example today because this is how gossip happens. people tell things about someone, and they may, of course, they leave out a lot of stuff, important information, or the story may not be true at all. And then as they tell other people, and then other people tell other people, and so forth and so on, it never comes out to be whatever was said. And in most cases, the gossip is untruths in most cases. And I'm talking about this because as I start to heal, or as you start to heal, as we all start to heal, we start to put in the work, and the work is hard, and especially losing loved ones, and we start to heal, it changes our life in some ways where as we grow from it, we're not the same individuals as we used to be. And so sometimes people who we have in our life may feel some kind of way, which I don't understand. I think for me, people should be happy when you grow and you expand and you get better. No one should want to see someone broken down, hurt, and in a state of trauma and depression, and and stagnation, and want them to stay in that state. And I could never understand why that's the case. Um, However, what I was saying is that what happens is that people start to gossip about other people. Oh, did you see this? Blah blah, etc. And then by the time that gossip gets to a whole bunch of people, it's just worse than the way it started out. And in the beginning, as I was on this path to healing, I'm still on it. It's like I said, it's a never ending path, but you heal certain things and you continue to go on, because you're always going to miss that loved one and have a hole, a void, I should say, inside of you because that loved one is no longer here. However, you do get better and you keep that loved one's memory alive. So I'm saying here is that what happens is that people don't seem to know you anymore as you start to heal, because as you heal, you may not be the same person as you used to be. I know I'm not, especially after losing my mother, and my dog. That was the bottom line. And I had to learn how to heal and to do things differently in my life. And some people who were in my life were feeling some kind of way. And the gossip that I heard in the beginning, I used to cry a lot about it. Oh my God, why would he or she say that about me? It's not true. And it's things that I would never ever do. And I'm hearing these things in the beginning. And I would wait until I have that session with my therapist and mention it to him. And in the beginning, I would get mad at him because he had no reaction. And I would say, a typical guy, no reaction. But there was a reason for all of what he was doing. And what he kept saying to me throughout all the tears, all the anger, and about gossip, each time I heard it, I'm talking to him. Why would they say that? It's not true, etc. He would just look at me and say, Lisa, establish boundaries. And at first, I'm like, why does he keep talking about boundaries? So as I started to do the work, the pros and the cons, he would give me homework like, what are the pros and the cons of this individual being in your life? What do they bring to the table? Does the cons outweigh the pros? And I start to do the work and say, yeah, I'm not getting anything from this. I'm being breadcrumb all the way around. So have a conversation and then set those boundaries. And then the person kept crossing them and crossing them. And then there's another conversation about this. And as I got stronger and start to self-love on myself and start to apply the techniques that were given to me, I start to feel better. And as I started to feel better, I did better. Communicated, spoke about how I felt. And when a person was dismissive about it, I cut off, blocked, and deleted. Because at that point, there's nothing more to do because they're going to keep being intrusive, crossing those boundaries, and being disrespectful. And, we don't need to have the same conversation 500 times to get the message. So that's what I started to do in the beginning. It was hurtful, it was painful because some of these people were in my life for ever, since I could remember. And it doesn't matter to me whether it's family members, whether it's um, a business situation, people I grew up with, etc. Those conversations were important to me because I've already been traumatized and hurt by everything I had to go through, losing 10 people, knowing someone who I looked up to who committed suicide, okay? And going through this like a domino effect. And then people's reaction to how I was reacting. It was like they're going now, forget about it or whatever. It's been a while, you should be better. And the negative comments doesn't help anyone. And I started to realize that these people don't care about what's going on with me. They just care about when they have an issue and a problem to keep me on the phone or whatever, for me to be subservient to them. But if it's my turn and I'm going through something, they were very dismissive. Oh, well, attitude. And I had to do a list of the pros and the cons, what they were bringing to the table, and it wasn't much. Pretty much breadcrumbs. I was the one being subservient and given and given and given, and I had to change my mindset, my way of doing things, with all of it. And it took time, and now I'm at the place where I want to have conversations with people. There was something that happened not too long ago, and it really pissed me off. And I said, well, there has to be a conversation about this. And finally, I got that conversation. The other party and I sat down together. And like I said, I don't give too much information here. We're on YouTube, people. So we had this conversation. It was hard for me to talk about it. So I let that person talk and say whatever. And at first, it was exchanging pleasantries and blah, blah, etc. And after that, I said what I had to say. This is how this made me feel. This is why I wasn't in contact with you, and A, B, C, D, and E. And, I got an apology. I thought it was going to be this back and forth, but thank God it wasn't. And we were able to resolve that. And when I'm able to resolve something with someone, it does make me feel good about that. But when someone is dismissive, disruptive, and disrespectful, I'm out. I'm not dealing with it. And I'm not angry. I say what needs to be said so I can get it off my chest. They say what they need to be said. And I would say, okay, these are irreconcilable differences. We can't do this, But in any of it, I wish you luck, the best to you. And I'm going, and people don't believe it. At first they didn't, she's just angry. No, I'm just done. And in my case, you really don't, how do I say this? Like before I'm done, I really express how I feel, try to communicate and try to do all of it because I know when I say I'm done, there's no reconciling it. It's just finished, and it's hurtful, but I had to go through what I had to go through. But what I do a lot, I give it to God. I let go and let God. And I wasn't doing those things before, but it works, people. And when I get up in the morning, I do positive affirmations, which I'm asking you guys to do as well. Look in the mirror, oh God. Laugh at yourself too, because what I just said, look in the mirror at yourself, and say, you know, no matter what mistakes I've made, I've come a long ways. I am worth it. And I deserve the best, you know? And especially when you've gone through so much and you've lost a lot, especially with loved ones, and it's a challenge, look in a mirror and tell yourself, I'm going to make it through this. One day at a time, one step at a time. And I am worth it and I deserve to get better and to heal, and not allow yourself to get into that deep depression because once you go there it can lead to suicidal thoughts and we don't want any of that. We want people to get the help, so always find a therapist in your area, where whatever state you're from. Google a therapist and meet with one, and find one that you vibe with. It's going to make it easier for you to communicate with that therapist. And also, as I always say, go to find a bereavement group, get connected to that group because you're going to hear stories from other individuals who have lost a lot of loved ones, or maybe a specific loved one, and they are going to share tidbits on how they got through it. And it's important for you to hear those things because you can use that in your own life to help yourself. Like me, it was just horrific. And I spent a lot of time alone in prayer with God, asking Him to help me because I didn't know how I was going to get through all these losses. And then losing my dog, too. And 2 weeks, he's in pain and agony for 2 weeks before I actually had to take him to the vet to be put to sleep, which was very difficult and disturbing for me. And I have his ashes. But, keep your loved one's memory alive. And as I always say, you know, your loved ones would never want you to stay in a place of pain and depression. They would want you to embrace your life and live it to the fullest. Keep their memories alive through storytelling. What did they add to your life? What did they give to you that you use to this very day? And keep the memory alive, and it will keep them alive. Um, and the other thing I wanted to talk about, because I have an outline here. Um, it's important to look at your surroundings because sometimes when you're grieving, there's a cloud in front of you. You're not seeing things clearly. At least I'm going to put it on me. I wasn't seeing things clearly because the grief was overtaking me, because the emotions from the grief would come at any given time when I least expected it. And I had to learn ways to get control of it because it was very difficult. So I didn't really pay too much attention to what was going around me and the people I had around me. And what I learned as I started to heal and get better, that I had a few people, not a whole lot, but a few people around me who were very envious of my healing and growth. And how I found out is through conversations where they were angry about something because I wasn't keeping in touch. I mean, I was going through my own stuff. And as I communicated, and I start to realize that this person has envy. For me personally, I don't want anyone in my life or at any level that is envious of me, because an envious person will stop your growth if you allow it to. And so as I started to see what was happening behind the scenes, etc., I started to have those conversations. And then I realized certain doors had to be closed and not reopened, because my healing and mental and physical health is everything. And that should be a priority for everyone, especially those who are going through some sort of loss and grief. Getting yourself better. You would never be 100% healed because we're always going to have that void from the loss of the loved one. But we can get better, get through it. And that's so important. Never allow anyone to intervene or interfere with that, because you can stay stagnated, and your growth and everything is important. It's very important, people. Like, and when I think about people who are envious, jealous, etc., they should be in my corner and rooting me on to heal, to get better. Because no one should be in a place of brokenness. And what I think about it is a Lauryn Hill song. How do you think you're going to win when you know you're not right within? And people have to, who are in low vibrational energy, they want other people to stay there with them, those who don't want to do the healing, some of them. And for me, my healing is everything. And it took self love for me to crawl out of this hole and rut and grief that I was in. And it's not going to happen overnight. It takes time. But reward yourself for any little step forward that you take. That's so important. And self-love takes time. But look in that mirror every day when you get up and look at yourself. And this is not being conceited or a narcissist or anything. It's self-loving on yourself and nurturing that inner child, because that inner child is traumatized as well through the grief and the loss. So look at yourself in the mirror and tell yourself you're worth it. You're a good person. You deserve, the best. And love on yourself. Buy yourself those flowers. If you don't have anyone else to do it, buy them for yourself. Take those little trips that you want to take, things that are going to make you feel good. And as you feel good, you feel better, you do better. And that's so important, one step at a time. And, that's the message for today. Love on yourself. If it's music, listen to your favorite playlists of music. If you have a dog, take that dog out. Spend time in nature. That all those things help and they contribute to you getting better. And time as well. Time always helps. And that's the message for today. I want you guys to continue to share these videos, subscribe, to the channel because I'm going to have more messages, you know. Also, share and like and tell other people about this because sometimes you don't know what other people are going through. Because some people don't talk about their loss and what they're going through because they're in a place of pain and they could be depressed and you don't even know it. So share it with other people so they can hear this and be motivated by the messages that are being given here. And before I leave here, I want to let you guys know, I already said a couple of times, I say it each time that I do a video that I'm not a licensed therapist. However, I do have a degree in communication and marketing. And so I graduated from Empire State College in 2015 with a bachelor degree in marketing and communication skills. So that was one of the stepping stones in my life because it was very difficult, going through college and etc. And my son saw me, and what I meant is he was in the audience the day I graduated. And he also himself graduated from college with a bachelor's degree as well in criminal justice. So, there are some accomplishments in my life that I'm proud of. And I want to encourage others. I'm pretty sure everyone have accomplishments in their own life that they are proud of. Write those things down. Take pride in them. Do things that's going to make you feel better because those things are going to help you to embrace life to the fullest. Your passed over loved ones would never want you to stay in a place of grief and depression. So that's the message today. Share this video again, and I'll be back again in a day or two with a new message. Thank you all for being here and enjoy this beautiful day. Bye for now.